Hey, church. I hope you guys are doing okay here as we're hopefully nearing the time of this stay-at-home order. I just wanted to share something, hopefully pretty quick here this morning with you, that our family was talking through this morning in our devotions. We're reading through the book of Acts right now, and in light of some of the challenges and the difficulties, and I know that people are going through them right now, I want to share some of what the Lord was sharing with us. We just looked at a couple verses this morning, but I just wanted to share that with you. Now, as most of you know, when the book of Acts begins, Jesus promises in Acts 1 verse 8, right before his ascension, that he promises the power of the Holy Spirit into the life of the church, and that they would fulfill with that power what's called the Great Commission. Let me read to you from Acts 1 verse 8. So a lot of you guys know this already, but let me just read this from Acts 1 verse 8. He says, "You shall receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be my witnesses in," and notice this, "Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." Now, we're not in Acts 1 in our morning reading. We're in Acts 8. And I want you, a bunch of time has passed between Acts 1 and Acts 8. And during that time, the church hasn't really left Jerusalem. They've just kind of been hanging out, sitting there in their holy huddle. I mean, the church is growing, good things are happening, but they have not fulfilled this calling on their life. And so now I want you to listen to Acts 8:1. We read Acts 1:8. Now listen to Acts 8:1. And this is right on the heels of the murder and the martyr of the deacon Stephen. It says, "Now Saul," who would eventually become Paul, as you know, was consenting to his death. And at that time, a great persecution. There had been some pressure, but now this is persecution. A great persecution arose against the church, which was at Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. And then it goes on to say in verse 4 of chapter 8 that those who were scattered went everywhere preaching the gospel. Did you notice? Pay attention. Did you notice it took Acts 8:1 to fulfill the Acts 1:8 calling that these believers had in their life? They were getting persecuted. They fled that persecution. Things are too violent, too dangerous. We'll go wherever we can go because things are just out of control right now. And everywhere they went, the gospel went with them. Guys, throughout church history, I mean, you can go back and look at church history at when the church has faced challenges. It's in those challenges that the church has been both strengthened and spread, and then spread and strengthened. Because every single time, the flame of the church is attempted to be stomped out by the enemy, the sparks of the church, they fly out from that. And so those who were strengthened and spread here were folks like you and me. I just read that the last phrase of verse 1 in chapter 8 was that, everybody went except the apostles. Those who went were ordinary folks like you and me. They had jobs and families to raise and responsibilities and things that they were concerned about. And are they going to make ends meet? All of those things that we think about, that's who spread the gospel. That's who turned the world upside down. But they had all of those same things, but they had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And their relationship with Jesus got really, really real in the midst of their trials, as I know it has for some of you, and as it has for me too. And so guys, as a church, right now, in this time that we're living in, this is our time to be activated. This is our time to be strengthened, to make our relationship with the Lord as real and as true and as genuine and sincere as it has ever been. And guys, this is our time as well to be activated to spread the message. There's a hurting world out there waiting to hear about the hope that you have. And so we're not facing the same level of persecution that the church did in Acts chapter 8. But the point I want to make here today is that God uses everything when we give it to Him. God will use everything, literally everything, even the junky garbage stuff that we try to avoid, right? Like the persecution. They didn't enjoy that, but God used it when they gave it to Him. And so during this time, again, there's a world out there that's hurting. And you and I both know that firsthand. And there's all sorts of challenges, not even with the virus, but surrounding it. You know, that at this point, that's worse than the virus itself. But whenever a crisis happens, we have an opportunity to cling to the Lord and to be strengthened, and then share that hope we have in the midst of that trial. And so it's in these difficult times with believers who understand who they are, what God has done for them, how He has given them a hope, how He saved them and showered on grace and mercy upon them. So you have the trial and believers in the trial who know that about Jesus. They can't keep quiet. We can't keep quiet. And so it's when we can't keep quiet and we have this relationship with Jesus in the trial, that's when cities and communities and states and universities and valleys like our own, that's when they're turned upside down. Because the fact is that most people do not come into a relationship with Jesus because of a professional evangelist. Most people come into a relationship with Jesus because someone like you has had an honest conversation with them and sincerely wanted the best for them and just shared from their own heart and their own experience how Jesus has changed their life. And so my encouragement, guys, hope I didn't keep you too long today in this little Devo, but we need to redeem this time that we have. This is a time that God, like He did for Esther, it's this time, that He's calling us to. He knew you were going to live at this time. Let's redeem it. Let's make the most out of it. And so let's share the hope that we have, share the message of the gospel. And if you need prayer, if you want to know more about Jesus, please don't hesitate. Just, get on your phone, look us up on Facebook, Instagram, go to the website, contact us at calvaryellensburg.com. I love you guys, and don't forget, Jesus wins.